Welcome to the Breaking Burnout for Nurses podcast. I'm Bonnie Kitahata, your host, and I'm so excited to have Johnny Lascha here. He's a relationship coach, and I actually found out about him on social media. He had just posted a little bit about his masterclass that he had given on how to communicate your needs without escalating conflicts. I thought, oh, that's a great topic for my nurse burnout nurses. So, Johnny, a shout out, and he is going to be on my show today. So, welcome, Johnny.
Hey there, Bonnie.
Thank you so much for being on my show. Actually, we had met, I think it was last year, at the NNBA, National Nurses in Business Association. I think they had their conference last year was in Florida. And then I wanted you to be on my podcast and you said yes, but I didn't follow up. So a year later, I'm following up. So thank you for still
Sure.
being on my show.
Yeah, I
So
appreciate it.
tell us a little bit about your background as far as coaching and relationships.
All right. Well, hi, everybody. My story is a little different. So is my voice. This is not a fashion statement. Up a trait. I'm a throat cancer survivor. I was putting on aftershave one day and went, oh, I feel a lump. Don't have one here. I was a singer. That's my costume from Disney. I used to sing at the Magic Kingdom in front of the castle.
Oh,
And I was a cruise director. I studied opera at college. So
wow.
I use my voice a lot. So when I lost my voice, I lost my identity. I lost my self-esteem. I
Uh,
started to shrink. This is very typical for a lot of the clients that I work with. I work with women that are struggling in their relationships, whether it's at work or with their partners, where they've lost their voice, where they feel it's safer just to stay quiet and not rock the boat. And they shrink and they lose a part of themselves each and every day. And then they start to criticize themselves for staying quiet, and it starts a vicious cycle. So I help them find their voice and feel comfortable saying no to things without feeling guilty. And that's not easy to do. So that's a little bit of my story how I got into coaching because of course we have lots of identities, but my voice, I was so wrapped up with my voice that when I
yes,
lost my voice, I felt like I had an identity crisis.
yes.
And it started to affect my relationships, especially with my wife. I've been married 37 years to the
Mhm.
same woman. and and we have a great relationship, but there are dips, there are moments I felt insecure. This was one of the times I felt insecure, that I wasn't worthy, wasn't good enough, and I didn't know if I was going to live or die. I was playing the victim really well,
Mhm.
and that of course does nothing for anybody. I mean, it's like putting your hand on a hot stove. I was in pain. Should I leave my hand on the stove or should I take it off and give myself some self care? So anyhow, I learned a few things and got myself back. And even though my voice is a shell of what it is, I still have some goodness to share. I can share my story and how I overcame it, and then I can help other people. I think to myself, why in the world don't they teach communication skills in high school, in junior high, way
Absolutely.
back when? I mean, why wait till we get involved in a relationship or a profession? It requires us to let go of our adopted child that got hurt when we were 7 or 10 and had to figure out how to survive and how to let that go and step into our own voice. So this is what I do.
Because of Breaking Burnout, I'm so focused on nurses, even though I know communication is important in any relationship, whether it's with your coworkers or your partner, getting along with your children, communicating with your boss. Communication is important in every aspect. So, but my focus right now is with nurses
Mhm,
and maybe communication between nurses or nurses communicating their
mhm,
needs with
mhm.
anybody, because
Oh,
sometimes
yeah.
we are silent and kind of hold in what we really want, or maybe we don't really know what we want, but we don't express ourselves the way we could to be,
Mhm.
to get what we want.
Well, that's okay. So I'll focus on one particular tool
Mhm.
It's called the feedback wheel. It was originally created by, I think, Pia Melody, and also Terry Real uses this as well. He's adapted it. But there's four parts to it. The purpose. When let's say something is happening and it's a pet peeve and it's getting under our skin. Well, before we even get to the communication of the feedback rule, I ask what this is a metric I use. Is what I'm about to do or say or try to fix, i- is it going to be important a year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now? I mean, you have to know where you're going. So you have to have a vision of what you want and why you want it. And if you don't know that, then you're just going to be throwing darts all over the board. So you start with your vision. What do I want? Why do I want it? What's going to motivate me to keep that? And then you create a healthy boundary around that vision. So when you are in a situation that you get triggered, take a deep breath. I always use the 5-5-7 breath because you want to activate that 10th cranial nerve, the vagus nerve, and to switch our bodies from that stress state to the parasympathetic nervous system. We want to relax because our right brain shuts down when a fight, flight, freeze, or fawn
Yes.
uh, reflex happens. I mean, we need that, but it's like we need it. Like we put our hand on the hot stove, we go, "Ow!" and we take it off, and then we get out of that and we get into action. We don't just sit there with it. So we have to know what we want to protect, and then so when something happens, I say to myself, "Is this really important?" And if it's not, then I go, "Pff, let them
Hmm.
use the Mel Robbins. Let them." But the other part that you don't hear about the Mel Robbins "let them" theory is that let me be me, let them be them, and let me be me,
Hmm.
and screw it, and you just let it go. Now, some things though are worth saying something about. So
Hmm.
that's so first I do that, and if it passes the test that yes, this is going to be important a year from now,
Hmm.
then I'm going to find my voice and speak. Now, most people when they're in this situation are triggered. So again, you have to step back, do something to activate your right brain because your right brain's offline and gets your right hemisphere has, you need that. You need that for exploration, for creativity, for empathy. You need that for laser focus. You need that for innovation and navigation. With that offline, your conversation is going to go into a negative vortex because you go into a conversation triggered. What does it do to your partner? Well, most of us know about mirror neurons. Mirror neurons, they pick up on our negative energy. Guess what? Now they're defensive. Guess what? Now I get more defensive. And that negative vortex starts. So you need to stop that in its tracks by don't start a conversation when you're in the middle of a storm. There's a time and a place to talk to people. So John Gottman talks about how you need to regulate your heart rate. Once it goes over 100 beats per minute, there's no way you're having a healthy conversation. Regulate your heart rate, slow down a little bit, and then use the four-step feedback wheel. Step one, you have to say what you saw with no embellishment. Now, let's take a situation in nursing, Bonnie. What would trigger somebody or be a pet peeve for you? Let's just take something that you see on the floor, something's happening, and maybe it's a coworker, another nurse. Let's say I saw you do this, and I'd say, Bonnie, the other day we shared a patient and we were doing a turnover, and I walked in and you were changing the patient, and the curtain was open, and anybody walking by could have seen them exposed. And maybe you did something else, like you just said, "Hey, Johnny, I'll be with you in a minute," and you just kept going and ignored me. So now I'm going to make up a story about that. This is part two. So I just explained what happened, how I saw it, my perspective, without any embellishment. But
Right.
now I'm going to say, now I made up a story about that, Bonnie, that, wow, you don't care about the privacy of that person. So you probably don't care about the privacy of me and my coworkers when we're talking and having conversations. And you probably tell all kinds of gossip about people. And you probably do this, that, or the other thing. So, Brene Brown talks about how we relate our lives to stories that we tell ourselves. And what we feed our brain will either activate our parasympathetic nervous system or our sympathetic nervous system. And those stories generally will activate us and trigger us. So that's step two. Step three is that story made me feel something. There are seven primary emotions, like there's primary colors, there's seven primary emotions. There's fear and anger and joy and so forth. So, how did I feel about that story? That story made me feel, number one, disgusted and sad, and that you have such lack of respect for for humans, for patients.
Yes. Yes.
It made me angry that I'm sharing this profession with somebody that has such low standards. Now, again, I'm not. I'm talking about the story that I made up. I'm talking about
Right.
you, Bonnie. So now, slowing it down like this, it sounds like really painful. But when it's sped up, it feels a little bit better. But so, step one, what happened? Step two, I made up stories about that. Step three, those stories made me feel a certain way. Now, a lot of people just start with step three or step two.
Hmm.
They jump right into the story. Hey, what the heck are you doing? You idiot. Well, as opposed to, hey, this is what I saw that happen.
Right.
And this is what I thought when I saw that. And I felt really upset about that. Step four is the repair attempt. In life, we have harmony, disharmony, repair, and back to harmony. It starts as children. When babies are hungry, they're just in your arms, and next minute they're crying.
Mhm.
They find the bottle or the nipple, and now they're back to harmony. So it went from harmony to disharmony. You created a repair attempt, and now they know how to repair things, and then they
Mhm.
move back to harmony. As if babies can do it, grown-ups can do it. We have to be intentional to do it, though, right? We have to know
Right.
why we want to be back into harmony. Why do you want to be friends with your coworkers? Why do you want her to level up so she doesn't do this in the future? So you have to ask her, so what can we do moving forward so I don't make up these stories about you? Because I know you're a great person and all, but what can I do to help you remain calm and not get hijacked? So those are the four steps. There's a really good PDF that your viewers can download. I'll send you the link.
Okay, great.
And it's a 10-page PDF worksheet on how to put this into action.
It sounds very logical. Sometimes we get our emotions in there, and I think that's the story part that you're talking about. Like we assume things, and that's part of the storytelling that we tell ourselves. So we got to get that part out of there and get back to harmony. So I love that.
Sure thing.
Plus, plus I would like to have you back on my show because I know you have a lot more to share about this topic. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. And we'll be back next Monday at 10 o'clock. So please go to my website, www.breakingburnout.com. We'll see you next week.